That was pretty neat. It's funny, the best showcases from this year's Summer Game Fest were the two that weren't the main show. That might be down to the difference in run times. Both PlayStation and Xbox's showcases had way less fluff than the main show, but we got a lot to discuss here, so let's get right into it. Starting with an Xbox handheld had been rumored to be in development for the longest time, and from my perspective, it seems like Microsoft took the smartest option, but also the least interesting. This isn't a dedicated handheld, it's a portable PC named the ROG Ally with Xbox branding. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. In fact, I think this is a pretty smart move on Microsoft's end. They spend significantly less money by doing a simple rebrand rather than designing their own device, and this allows for not only Xbox but also Steam and other PC applications, which a dedicated handheld might not have had. That being said, while I think this was the smart move, it was also the most boring. I think everyone had something else in mind when the idea of an Xbox handheld got brought up. But enough about that. Let's talk about the most important part of this device's reveal. Silksong time. They showed Hollow Knight Silksong running on the ROG Ally X and stated that the game will be available to play when the handheld releases this holiday season. That doesn't really narrow down the release date of Silksong that much, but it definitely seems like this, following its new release window at the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, is Team Cherry putting their foot down and saying that this is definitely the year. I'm still not fully convinced until I see a concrete release date, but maybe they really mean it this time. Guess we'll have to wait and see. Clockwork Revolution was a game that was shown off at an earlier Xbox showcase, and it looks really cool. Definitely getting some BioShock Infinite vibes from this game, and the time mechanics seem like they'll add a lot of depth to the gameplay. I'll definitely be checking this one out. Grounded 2 was not a game I was expecting to see get announced. From the trailer, it looks like this will be one of those sequels where it's the first game, but more. Instead of a backyard, now you're in a park, there's a bunch of new bugs, etc. It's going to be released this year in early access, just like the first game, so I probably won't review it until it's finished, but I'll keep my eye on this one. The next game from Double Fine was shown off, and it looks beautiful visually. The art direction and environments immediately caught my eye. Not sure if Tim Schafer is involved or not, but either way, it looks great. I don't know exactly what the gameplay is. It looks like it'll be a very story-driven game, but parts of the trailer have light platforming, so this might be a Journey/Abzu situation where it's more about the environmental storytelling and visuals and less gameplay focus. Can't wait to see more of this game when it releases. This was announced not too long ago, but I didn't do a video for the presentation that this was a part of, so I guess now's a good time to talk about it. This looks insanely stylish, as to be expected of a Platinum game. I've actually never played any of the Ninja Gaiden games, but I'm very interested in this game, especially if it's on Game Pass. The next game from the creators of Spiritfarer. I haven't played that game, but I've heard it's very good, and I've heard it's very sad. This game's artwork and animation look incredible, and the combat looks fast and fluid. Instant wishlist for me. I should get around to playing Spiritfarer sometime. The next game is a brand new IP coming from Game Freak? The Pokemon guys? How? This game looks good. I mean, the frame rate is a little choppy, but it still has an appealing art direction and textures that doesn't look like the developers threw up on them. And before you say, of course it looks better, Game Freak isn't working with a toaster anymore. Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey are both Switch games, and they look amazing. So Game Freak, owners of the most profitable media franchise ever, don't get a pass. I'm genuinely shocked by this. Oh yeah, the game itself looks fine. High on Life 2. This is an interesting one. I enjoyed High on Life, didn't play the DLC, and this is going to be the very first Squanch Games production without Justin Roiland because they didn't show any actual gameplay, just cinematics made to look like gameplay, but from what it looks like, it'll be the first game, but with more guns and a skateboard. For some reason. On the surface, this should be a fine release. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first Outer Worlds, in fact, I was kinda let down by it, but I still thought that that game was fine. So what's the big deal? Well, this is Xbox's first ever $80 release, and man, Not even Mario Kart was worth $80. Expect a review of that eventually. What makes them think a sequel to a just okay game is going to be worth that much? What's worse is that at launch, Outer Worlds 1 was $40, which means this game will cost twice as much. That being said, this game could be great. It could fix every issue with the original, but that price point just doesn't make any sense. Like, while what Nintendo did is greedy, Mario Kart is one of the biggest gaming franchises out there. But Outer Worlds? I'm not trying to justify what Nintendo has done because $80 games are terrible, but you could easily see why the corporate suits thought of charging that much. And I just don't get that here. At the very least, this game is going to be on Game Pass, but it's still just weird. Let's just move on to something more positive. Here we go, perfect. Invincible Versus looks absolutely incredible. A fighting game set in that universe done by people who made Killer Instinct sounds like a wonderful idea. This game is very clearly still in pre-alpha state, but this was one of the biggest highlights of the show for me. 2 tag team superhero fighters in 1 week. What are the odds? Persona 4 is getting a remake in a similar vein to Persona 3 Reload, which was pretty expected. I still think they should have started with the first 2 games, but I get that 3 and 4 are way more popular than those. They didn't really show anything here, it was more of a yes, it's happening, please shut up now kind of trailer, but at least it was something. Super Meat Boy is back after spoiling the fun with Super Meat Boy Forever and Dr. Fetus's Mean Meat Machine, but luckily this game actually looks good. It's a 3D Super Meat Boy, which means more freedom and more chances for you to miss a jump. Still, it's a new 3D platformer and we barely get any of those anymore, so I'm all for it. And finally, the big one last thing. Me and the Duke watched this showcase together and we were on the edge of our seats for what it could be. They built up this trailer as the return of a franchise that's been with Xbox since day one, and the trailer was so vague and weird that it could really have been anything. And then all of our excitement was immediately drained when it was revealed to be a new Call of Duty game, specifically Black Ops 7. That's your one last thing? Call of Duty? A good final announcement has to be exciting and unexpected. We get a new COD every year, and on top of that, it's another Black Ops after we just had one last year. If it was like World at War II or something, it would have at least been interesting to discuss, but Black Ops? You know, it's kind of funny. The worst showcase of this year had the best final announcement. Huh. That's all I got for now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and hit that bell icon to be notified for whenever I make a new video. The next review should be Andor Season 2, so if you're interested in that, or interested in supporting the channel more, then turn on notifications and check out my other videos. Okay. That's it. Bye.